Hello, my name is Austin Pinzon. I'm the co-founder and COO of A Square Games and Simulation. Over this past weekend, our team for A Square participated in the first ever Armed Forces Game Jam. This is our project called SACTE, the Small Arms Collaborative Training Environment, and I'm really kind of infatuated with my fingers here. So I'm going to go ahead and make this little gameplay video so you guys can see what the project is, what it's about, and kind of why we designed it the way it is. Please ignore the dogs in the background, they're going to be barking. It's just what they do. Alright, so when you loaded the application, you will see that I kind of have my arms here, you can see my body down here. So this is a fully rigged VRIK character, so as I kind of move through the environment, my legs will move, as well as if I kind of start shifting around, my feet will automatically adjust to kind of move around. So the purpose of this is when we add the networking functionality, there is actually network functionality in the application. We just cut it for the scope of the weekend at the very end, so all we need to do is kind of just re-add that last minute feature back in there. But when we do have the networked functionality in it, you will be able to see other people moving around with a full character rig. So it's very immersive. You can kind of see, like, if I need to like point to somebody, be like, hey, like, you go over in that direction, you can kind of do little hand gestures. Or if I want to be like, hey, like, hold up, stop. Or if you just want to fist bump somebody, you can always do that too. Let them know they did a good job. So when you go into this application, I guess I should probably explain what this is and why it was designed this way. So the purpose of the of SACTE is to create a use of force application that can facilitate kind of in-person training, but remotely. So you have people that you're trying to train, you bring them to a shoot house, and you train, the rules of engagement and discrimination. So specific targets are hostile, specific targets are not, who to shoot, why, when, and basically the people that go through the shoot house have to determine, whether or not this person is a target based on the preset rules of engagement. So our preset rules of engagement on the back end for this application are that terrorists are hostile and civilians are not. Now, that data can actually be changed. So in our next feature, or next release, we're actually going to release it so it's front-facing, so you can actually go over to the wall, and you can change what the rules of engagement are, so you can change what targets should be hostile and whatnot. Another feature that we actually have in this version of the application is every time you go into the course, it is randomly generated where people are and who people are. So you never know where there's a hostile or where there's a civilian. You basically have to just kind of use your training and discrimination to properly assess the situation and not fire upon the person you're not supposed to fire upon. So, that being said, I should probably get some equipment. So the equipment that I bring into the environment is the equipment that I will have. So I actually, all these magazines are designed to have the correct amount of ammunition. So if I grab my pistol here and I grab my ammo, and actually my pistol doesn't have any ammo, so I'm gonna go ahead and socket some right there. So this pistol is not gonna have 30 rounds. I can kind of shoot 8 rounds, eject the mag, I can grab another one. Actually, I can show you, can't really shoot it. My arm goes a little bit too far, I got long arms. Alright, so let's go ahead and socket this pistol here. Now, as I said, the ammunition that you have with you is the ammunition you can bring into the environment, so I'm actually going to grab some extra, just in case I need to reload. And my preference is I like to keep them on my right side, so there's actually 4 slots on the side here we can put magazines. It can be any magazine, doesn't matter. If I want to put this over here, or put it back over here, that's fine. I can actually grab one for the M4, and I can put it right here on the other side. So my preference is I usually put my M4 mags on the left side, and I put my pistol mags on the right side. It's just the way that I reload. It's a lot easier for me. That being said, I also have one socket here. So technically I can take another pistol, and I can put it in this socket if I want to bring another one in. I really don't want to, so I'll just put it over there. Now, the main reason of the middle socket is for the M4. So if I ever need to socket the M4 so that I can interact with something, or so that I can grab my sidearm, that is what that slot is for. However, I can kind of show you here. Oops, dropped it. Actually, that's a good thing I could show. So all the guns or all the grabbable elements that are something you can carry are designed in a way that we can kind of Jedi force pull them back to us. So if I kind of throw this out, I can kind of snap it back to my hand. We wanted to make it a little bit more accessible, so people that don't really want to be leaning over or trying to like grab an object on the floor, they can actually just kind of call it back to them from a range. It's very finicky sometimes with the smaller objects, so let's try the other arm. Come on. I know you can do it. There we go. Alright. Do I have a magazine? Yes, I do. Alright, cool. So, let's go ahead and load the M4 here. So, originally we actually had some other mechanics where you could, pull the bolt back or the slide or whatnot, and there were a lot more steps to actually setting up your weapon. You had to chamber your bullet for guns that needed to be chambered first. We were going to be integrating safety and whatnot and firing modes. We decided to take that out and instead focus explicitly on the use of force training aspects. We didn't want to introduce any training scars, which if you don't really have a physical weapon in your hand and you're interacting with it like you normally would, then you can kind of introduce training scars. So to avoid that, we instead just fixated on you can take your mag out, you can load it back in when it's empty. That's pretty much all you have to focus on, and that and counting your ammo. So obviously you don't want to go through the course and just kind of fire away. That's a little excessive. So in fact, actually, for my own sake, let's get a new mag. That mag will actually stay there. Well, unless I shoot it. That mag will actually stay there if it is not empty. If it is empty, it will destroy itself, so it's not just cluttering the environment with excess magazines. So I'm going to go ahead and put that here, grab my pistol, and I can kind of show some other mechanics of the game. So we have a door here and a door here. We can kind of just walk right through. So the way that this level has been designed, actually, when we were developing the application, we looked through and we noticed that a lot of these shoot houses that were designed for the real physical space and having people walk through them, they were designed to be practical for the training purposes, but they weren't really designed to be practical for real life situations. So these houses are these mazes of rooms that are interconnected, but that's not really useful or beneficial because that's not the kind of environment that a real person would be in an active shooter situation. So we decided to design this building to look more like an office building. It's actually a 2-story office building with the 2 stairwells that go up. And it has everything from the commodity of having bathrooms and offices and conference rooms and open little bit open areas, reception areas. So it's sort of designed to emulate more of a realistic environment. However, we did actually make some tweaks and changes so that when you go through the entire course, you'll actually loop all the way up and then you'll loop all the way down, and it'll actually bring you right back to the entrance. So it's designed to be practical like a shoot house, so you can run the entire course and come right back. But it's not designed to be like explicitly these tiny rooms that you kind of move through really quick and then you're done. While that is practical in the sense of getting people in and out, because we have a digital space, we can kind of facilitate different training styles. So this could be a school, it could be a hospital, it could be whatever you want it to be. And we don't have to necessarily worry about the limitations of building and constructing a physical environment. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just walk through the course. So currently, see, there's actually nobody. Well, actually, if I peek, I can kind of see a civilian over there. So let me draw my M4. Let's see if there's any hostiles around the corner here. And something I should mention also is there's another little kind of piece right here. So, oh, that's a nice touch. So also you can kind of see that there's a lot of like physics involved in the game. So when I like interact with something, I can kind of smack it around. That goes for the doors as well. So one thing I should mention is that there is an extra piece, a stabilizer for each gun. So if you fire your weapon, you can see how there's a lot of recoil. But if I actually stabilize the gun, you see that the recoil is drastically reduced. So it's very important to make sure that when you're firing, you're properly stabilizing your weapon and aiming. Yeah, and actually, another really cool thing to point out is that all the guns, or all the grabbable items, have custom hand poses for each one. So we actually went and did some research and looked at how other people were holding their weapons and making sure that we can kind of emulate that same effect so that we're not, having, people holding guns wrong and properly and you're seeing that constantly and then you kind of associate that. Again, trying to reduce training scars. So let's actually go around the corner here. And you can see that this is a civilian. He looks hurt. He's injured. He's actually really kind of selling it right now. I mean, give this guy an Oscar. But I see no hostiles, which is perfect. And the hostiles for the game in its current state are designed so that they don't really attack you, they don't do anything. They'll pretty much just stand there. As I said, it's mostly about clearing the course quickly and trying to make sure that you're associating the right targets. In a future release, obviously we'll be able to add additional, animations and styles of, interactions. But we wanted to avoid like trying to recreate Call of Duty and being like, oh, you're running through and you're shooting and they're shooting back. I mean, that's obviously fun, but that doesn't really associate what we're trying to teach, which is the use of force training application, not necessarily like an active fire combat scenario. So actually go ahead and just check all the hallways. All the hallways are clear. In a networked environment, you'd be able to have multiple users kind of, walking through room by room. So this is actually a really big environment because it's designed for multiple users. So as I said, it's a two-story building, and you can see there's a lot of rooms to kind of go through. So as a single user, this could take a little while. That being said, obviously because this is a digital constructed environment, we can scale it down or larger depending on what size we need. So you can see I can actually kind of partially open the door here, and then if I want to, I can kind of use my gun. Actually, I think there's somebody standing. Yeah, there's someone standing right on the other side of this. Oh, they're all just having fun in here. There's a bathroom. You might want to use the toilet, Anyway, So, and as you can see, I just closed the door. In fact, if I go back and I try to push on it, you can see it doesn't open. It's kind of just staying there. Boop, boop. All right, so let's keep going. See if we find some targets. Kind of show up our little terrorist in here. Hello. Oh, there's a terrorist. So here's our random terrorist, our hostile, whatnot. So in the back end of the application, as I said before, we want to make this front facing so people can see these metrics, but we are actually currently calculating these metrics on the back end. That is actually implemented. So if I shoot this target, it will actually give me a point towards shooting hostiles. If I shoot that target, it will give me a point towards shooting a civilian. So actually I can bang, hostile is gone, and now I have a score for hostiles. It's also tracking additional metrics as well. So if there was another networked player here, and I actually aimed my gun at that player, there would be a point for muzzling. So every time you muzzle another player, it will alert that you are muzzling that player. That way, the ISO, the administrator who is watching the people that are going through this simulated environment, can see whether or not, through this entire course, I muzzled my friend 6 times. That's obviously not good. We don't want to be pointing our gun at friendly people. And obviously, if I shoot at that player, it'll also calculate that metric as well, because we don't want people shooting at friendly people. That's just not good. So, hello, sir. You okay? He's doing all right. He's doing just fine. So go through this. I can kind of push this open. So we obviously wanted to utilize being able to use kind of physics throughout the game. So this is very kind of bonework style. We'll go through and be integrating a lot more intense interactions. So that everything is interactable in the environment. Obviously, for the practicality of doing this in a weekend game jam, I can't really walk up and shoot every single thing and have it move around. But in future releases, that is totally within scope to do. And let's actually socket the sidearm here so I can kind of show another little feature. So if I go up here to this door, and actually I kind of push that open a little bit too hard, but if I wanted to, I can kind of push this door a little bit. And then I can actually use, you can see my gun's kind of colliding here. So if I wanted to, for training purposes, I actually open the door partially and then use my gun to kind of push it open. In fact, I can actually use my arm, because there are colliders that go all up the arm. So I can actually use my arm to kind of push it open, lean over, attack the target if I need to. So that's part of the immersion that we're trying to capture here, is we want people to be able to kind of interact with the systems as if they were in a real life scenario. Without necessarily having them fixate on mechanics that could, introduce those training scars, or basically inhibit the player from being able to, interact with the application. So this is a very massive map, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the video very short. But just for the sake of having fun, I will have some B-roll of me just walking around and kind of shooting and, having fun.